Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Homewrecker podcast. I am the Golden Greek, Alex Arion, joined as always by my beautiful, lovely, gorgeous wife, Monique.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm great. And you?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. Let's get to business,
All
part
right,
two.
Let's get down to business, part two. But first, I'm going to ask Monique. You love this so much. Okay, so here we go. Dear Monique, how is it that the foods that taste the best are actually the worst for us? I wouldn't think that Mother Nature would be out to I wouldn't think that Mother Nature would be out to fool us in this way.
All I can think of is in the movie So I Married an Axe Murderer. Mike Myers is playing multiple roles, so he also plays the role of his father in the movie, and he's talking about Kentucky Fried Chicken and how they put an addictive chemical in their food to make people crave it. And so that's the stuff that gets in my head is, yeah, it's bad for you, but it tastes so good because it's designed that way. It tricks you out of what nature gives you that's actually good for you. Because if you had a choice, this is really bad for me and it's okay, you'd eat the good stuff. But if it's bad for you, but it tastes so good, that's the hook. That's how they get you. That's my thought anyway.
Okay, well, the smartest woman in the world said, "Don't blame Mother Nature. Farmers don't raise hamburgers, French fries, and soda." Would you believe a fellow, whom I will mercifully leave unnamed, wrote to me and said, quote, "Just who does raise potatoes and beef? If farmers don't, do city girls still think these things come from the supermarket?" And he inscribed, quote, "You blew it again," end quote, on the outside of the envelope. Well, he missed the point. Turning low-calorie potatoes into fatty French fries is what the cook does. And that's why I said, in essence, it's our own fault.
Every time I go, well, this is what she said, it makes me think, I'm going to sound like an idiot now.
But most of the time, you're like pretty close to what she says. So don't get that feeling. Come on now. And remember, I don't know the answer till I'm reading it to you. I only look at the question. I don't look at the answer till I'm reading it to you. So I'm just as surprised when I read it. And it's like, oh, that's pretty close to what you said. All right. You're smart.
But she articulates it very well, I guess. I'm an explainer. I want to explain where my brain is and how I'm getting there.
You're a mom that has small children.
True.
So you're used to explaining things.
Very true.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
All right. Well, let's get back into our multi-part episode here about Hulk Hogan and things surrounding Hulk Hogan.
Oh, okay. We're
The palms are getting rubbed over there.
Yeah.
Ooh, I can't wait. You're chomping at the bit.
because this is where things are heating up a little bit.
It gets spicy.
Yeah. Oh, spicy indeed.
Oh, man. All right. So we watched the Hulk Hogan Real American documentary. We talked about it in the last episode. And now we're going to talk about a documentary that came out about Bubba the Love Sponge and the whole sex tape fiasco that occurred.
Yeah, Video Killed the Radio Star.
Yes, it's called Video Killed the Radio Star, which is a great, appropriate title for this. So how should we go into this? Should we just go into the story, or do we give all the background about Bubba the Love Sponge for people that maybe don't know who he is? We can get kind of brief with it.
A really brief. He's a shock jock, like Howard Stern, essentially.
Yeah, and he was based out of it's Tampa, right? Tampa, Florida.
I think so. Or yeah.
Yeah, Tampa, Florida. So Southern Florida. Well, he befriended Hulk Hogan. They became best of friends.
Hulk Hogan was his best man at his wedding.
Yeah. What, didn't he marry them? Wasn't he I
don't know.
It was kind of weird. The pictures they showed, it looked like Hogan was the one that was doing the the I do's and stuff, the vows. I thought, maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, but yes, he did give a toast at Bubba's wedding saying Bubba's the only person I'd trust alone with my kids. You say something like that to somebody.
They were tight.
That would indicate they're good buddies. They're best friends.
And as we mentioned in the last episode, When Hulk Hogan was going through the period getting divorced, he was living in an apartment, he was broke. Bubba was the one who said, "You come live with me."
Yes. And I also, right before we watched this documentary, I listened to like a 5-hour long podcast interview with Bubba. He was on the Danny Jones podcast, and he talked about this entire thing, gave tons of background and about the story and about their relationship and stuff. What Bubba was saying was that Hogan was so paranoid about being filmed that anytime he had a surgery, he got clearance from the hospital and everything for Bubba to be in the surgical suite, like in the operating room, masked up. You know, he had to do the hand scrub, all this stuff to sanitize himself. And he'd be in there watching the sterilized. Thank you. Sorry. He'd be in there watching the surgery to make sure that nobody was taking pictures of Hulk Hogan naked or anything like that, because that's how paranoid Hogan was.
Now remember that. Keep that in the back of your mind as we go through this conversation.
Yes. And that is something. Did they talk about that on? They didn't talk about that in the Hogan documentary.
They did not.
No, they didn't. Okay. But they did talk about it in this documentary. And again, like I said, I first heard it on this podcast interview, and I was like, what? That's crazy. But okay. And it was verified in the documentary by other people that knew the story as well. So it's not like he was just making it up.
So the documentary goes through Bubba's early life, how he got into the radio business, how he became as famous as he was. Anyone who doesn't know him, think Howard Stern style radio. I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And he was kind of competition for Howard Stern in a way.
Well, no, he got brought onto Howard Stern's Sirius XM channel after he left terrestrial radio. Why I forget why he got fired. I forget that whole thing, but he got fired from terrestrial radio for something, and Howard brought him to Sirius XM, and then he became like a huge hit on the Sirius XM channel, and it got to the point where he was getting bigger than Howard, and Howard didn't like the competition.
It's de facto a type of competition in a way.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to give the whole story, so it's not like, well, why was he on Howard and then all of a sudden he's gone? You know, just so people know.
They said that their contracts were slashed 80%.
80%, yeah. Which is a negotiating ploy. They want you gone. They know you're not going to take the offer. So, but yeah, that's what happened. So they give a whole backstory. This is a very long and involved process, but essentially, Bubba, kind of like Howard Stern, had a team of people that were on his show with him, kind of like his version of what does Stern call it, the Rat Pack or the Whack Pack or whatever.
I don't remember.
I'm not a big Stern fan, but whatever. So he had people that were on the show with him, his producer, different personalities that be on the radio show with him, and I guess what happened was he somehow they became at odds with one of the guys, and one of the guys betrayed Bubba.
Well, right? there was somebody he worked with, kind of more so in the beginning of his career.
Oh, that's right. It was a guy that was his producer at the beginning of his career. I don't remember the guy's real name, but they called him Cowhead.
Cowhead, yeah. Was
so
it Matt?
I forget
something. I don't know.
I forget how to say it, but
this
Cowhead.
guy comes into play later on. He worked as a producer on Bubba's show early on, and then he found somebody else he liked better to replace him, and so there were probably some hurt feelings with
there was heat.
Replaced.
Yeah, there was heat there. There was some
and he got another a young kid, and they called him Spice Boy because the Spice Girls were really big, and they called him Spice Boy. And these two people essentially come into play with the whole sex tape regarding Hulk Hogan.
So after Bubba convinces his wife to bang Hogan, now they didn't talk about this on any of the documentaries that we watched, but I remember at the time what came out was that on the tape itself, Bubba is talking to his wife and saying, "This is going to be huge for us. This is great. This is a great insurance policy." Like he says it.
And in the documentary, somebody did comment. I don't know if it was during the court proceedings, but how you can hear Bubba talking on the tape as well.
Yeah, and that's what he was talking about, because I remember hearing it at the time and being like, geez.
So we're going to kind of focus on that and the conspiracy that comes into it.
Yeah. So the filming the act happens, it's filmed. Go ahead.
Well, let's kind of rewind a little bit. So
Okay.
we said Hulk Hogan is living there. We mentioned it in part 1.
Yep.
Bubba, according to his story, feels bad for Hulk Hogan, and he says to his wife, why don't you sleep with him? You know, help a brother out, as we say. And she did. Now, Bubba says that he has video cameras all over his house and in his bedroom. And the reason, so this was weird though, and I want to go over this.
Okay.
In the podcast you listened to with the interview,
Yes.
he said the reason why he had video cameras in his room, in the bedroom, was because there was an incident where he hooked up with a woman. And then at another point in time, saw her again. She came over. They were drinking. She was drunk. They hooked up. And it wasn't until like a day after the woman was talking to her friend, and her friend was trying to convince her that he slept with her. Bubba slept with this girl against her will. And so then the girl turns around and is like, well, I don't know if I don't think I wanted to have sex with you. And he was like, it was consensual.
And they'd already had sex before, so it's not like it was like the first time or anything.
So he put cameras in to protect himself. So that way, if anything ever
From
happened,
the advice of his agent.
Yes.
His agent advised him to do that so that in the future,
CYA.
cover yourself. Exactly. And he was very open. He said, like, everybody knew. He would bring people into his house and show them, hey, I got a camera there, got a camera there. He would tell people. So everybody knew they were being filmed the entire time, which is smart on his part, because it definitely covers you from incidents like what he described the reason for him getting the cameras was for.
But yet in the documentary, he's talking about why he has cameras.
And what did he say in the documentary?
He said because he heard stories about that happening.
Yeah. Now, I'll excuse that discrepancy, because remember, a documentary, you only have so much time, and things get filmed over, like, can get reshot and refilmed. Any testimony or anything that they say can be reworded because it will fit better or flow better with what's already been filmed. So I could totally see that being the reason that was done. I believe what he said on the podcast that more than on the documentary.
Okay, I'm just pointing out inconsistencies. That's all.
No, I agree. But anybody that didn't listen to that podcast that we listened to and watched the video would not know. You'd have to have heard both to get the discrepancy. But anyway, he's got cameras all over his house.
He's got cameras everywhere. So he knows everything's being filmed. The wife knows that there are cameras everywhere.
In the bedroom that she's been living in. Of course she knows.
And Hulk Hogan knows there are cameras. Now, the big question comes into play. Did either of them think they would maybe not be recorded for that?
But it's recording at all times.
He could turn off the recording.
He could, but was that ever said?
Saying.
That was never said by Hogan. It was never said by his wife or ex-wife. It was never said by Bubba. What Bubba said was they knew. And they said, we didn't know. How do you not?
So when the whole sex tape got released, everyone would think, well, it was either Bubba or Heather, Bubba's wife.
Who leaked it, right.
Who leaked it. Because they're the only ones who have access to this video recording.
Well, and they're also the only ones that know that it happened. Exactly. It's not like Hogan went out advertising, hey, I banged my best friend's wife. It wasn't like he was going out telling people that.
No. So everybody thought that's the only way that this tape could have gotten out, was if either both of them or one of them released it.
And I believe that Bubba and Heather was her name. I believe they had separated by the time the tape came out, but I could be wrong on that. I'm not sure.
Well, because the tape was recorded and years had gone by.
Yeah. It was recorded whenever Hogan was going through his divorce, 2007, 2008.
Something like that.
So at least 2 years had gone by before the leak happened.
Yeah, I mean, there was a decent amount of time. And this tore these two best friends apart.
Because Hogan believed that Bubba betrayed him.
Exactly. And again, this guy who was so down on his luck, his best friend. So there's obviously some hurt feelings. And the documentary showing how like he needs to prove somehow that he didn't do it. And he kept saying, I didn't do it. And we're like, yeah, buddy, sure you didn't.
He's been saying it all along.
Because here are the arguments. One, why wouldn't you just shut the camera off? Unless there's something kinky going on, like if that's your thing, okay, whatever. But two, why wouldn't you delete it? You know,
why would you copy it onto a DVD?
Why would you copy it onto a DVD?
Yeah.
And again, the thought is, well, it's obviously at your house, but it came out. He didn't trust his wife.
He didn't trust his wife with it at the house. So he took it and brought it to the radio station, like in his office at the radio station, which he himself said he was never really at. He never really went there because he had a home recording studio that he would do his show from.
And also working at that radio station was the Cowhead guy.
Yeah. They went into the whole politics of the Tampa radio scene and how cutthroat it is, and it's one of the most competitive markets in the country. And they went through all that stuff, which I don't really want to get too crazy into, but Cowhead was the producer that Bubba had fired about 5-6 years prior, and now he himself had become a radio DJ and wanted the morning DJ spot because that's the prestigious spot that everybody wants.
The coveted spot.
Right, but Bubba had it.
And Spice Boy, who we mentioned, Bubba took him in when he was young, kind of mentored him, let him flourish. And so
it was when the Serious deal fell apart. This Spice Boy guy was pissed because he lost all this money because Bubba wouldn't re-sign with Serious for such a huge pay cut. And so this guy was pissed and eventually ended up leaving the show.
He did, but he was working in the studio where Bubba would work.
Yes.
So you have Cowhead and the Spice Boy guy both working in this. They're all
Spice
working
Boy
in the same
became
building.
a DJ overnight.
Yeah.
He became the overnight DJ, and this Cowhead guy was the afternoon DJ, I believe.
I think so.
They would cross paths briefly as the shows would change.
But they're all working out of the same building.
But they're all working out of the same building, correct.
And it's interesting because Bubba's agent was like, we'll get him out when you come here because that's probably going to be awkward.
Who's him?
I'm sorry, Cowhead. We'll get Cowhead out because that's probably going to be awkward. And Bubba's like, no, man, it's cool. I don't have any worries about anything. So here we are.
The reason he said that is because he was at Sirius and then was coming back to the terrestrial radio station. So in coming back, it was offered to him, we'll get rid of this Cowhead guy because we know about your history. And I guess this Cowhead guy had been attacking Bubba nonstop over the years on the air and everything. So they offered Bubba, we'll get rid of him to bring you in. And he said, no, it's okay. Basically, I don't want to take the guy's livelihood away from him. It's fine. Words that he would later regret, of course.
So what had happened was Bubba did not trust his wife. So he took, again, why you put it on a DVD, a disc.
He didn't trust his wife.
He didn't trust his wife, but he burned it onto a DVD. Like,
why
are you holding on to that? Yeah.
So crazy.
Yeah. So he burns it on a DVD and stores it in a filing cabinet at the radio station thinking it's safe there. And then it gets out. It's on Gawker, a 1.5-minute clip.
No, it's on TMZ. TMZ heard about it and put a still shot of it. Well, you're going to tell the story. You got to figure out how it got to Gawker because they shopped it around, got to TMZ first, and TMZ put a still picture of it, but called Hogan first.
Correct. They didn't run the video.
They didn't run the video because they called Hogan to let him know about it.
And ask him
about it. And he said, that's a stolen tape, or however he said it. He said that was stolen. That's not, he didn't want it out there, basically.
So the person with the video was shopping it around. And TMZ wasn't biting because I think the guy who owns it is
Harvey Levin. Is that his name?
He was an attorney, and he's probably smart enough to know, like, oh, you got to be careful with this stuff. If that's something where he says it's stolen. We need to CYA, cover ourselves, and let's just call them, find out. And that itself is getting interest, attention, and it's giving them views and whatnot.
Sure.
But it ended up going to Gawker. Gawker was the website that essentially was like, yeah, we're going to run it. So it was a 1.5-minute clip that was sent over, and they ran it. And that's when it all really...
And then everything blew up.
Everything blew up. And Hulk Hogan's attorney sent a letter to Gawker.
Like a cease and desist. Yeah.
Yes, but politely saying...
Asking him to take it down. It was stolen. He was trying to appeal to their decent human side. He's a father. He's going through a divorce. But, all the stuff. Whatever.
And Gawker's like, nah.
No. A few. We're leaving it up.
Yeah.
Like the quality human beings they are.
Mm-hmm. So what I think a lot of people didn't know was something else happened after the video was released. And was it while he was going, I believe it was while they were in trial, because the tape comes out, Gawker won't remove it. They end up going to court. So Hulk Hogan
sues Gawker.
And they go to court.
They go, yeah. What was the thing? Invasion of privacy? Is that what it was? I forget what he sued for.
I forget the actual, but I think there were multiple charges.
It was multiple things, and then halfway through the trial, they ended up dropping some of them because it was really weird, like some of the stuff that was done here.
So, and this will come into play with the third documentary we watched.
Everything will come into play. Yeah.
So there were multiple things that Hulk Hogan was going after Gawker for. And there was one charge they ended up taking off the table kind of partway into the trial. And what that meant was by removing that specific charge or complaint, the insurance company for Gawker has like no responsibility. So usually you get sued, you're covered under your insurance. This meant that Gawker themselves would have to pay for anything if they lost. Yeah. So that's a big component that's going to come into play when we talk about the third documentary. So during the trial, apparently Hulk Hogan's attorney was contacted by someone saying that they had the tape. And that, was it $300,000?
Yeah, if you don't want the whole tape released, you'll meet with us, and we want $300,000. So it was a shakedown.
It was extortion.
Yep.
Hulk Hogan's attorney was like, okay, let's set something up. He then
immediately calls the FBI. Smart.
He's a smart guy.
Smart.
The FBI sets up this sting in a hotel. And they're in the room. So Hulk Hogan and his attorney are in one room. They got FBI agents in the surrounding rooms, and they're listening in. And a woman came in, and she came with an attorney. Do you remember the attorney's name?
I am sitting here right now blanking on his name, but he's still a practicing attorney to this day, and he's essentially what's known as a Hollywood fixer. So you have something you want to be swept under the rug, or you want something to disappear, you call to this guy. He's an attorney to celebrities, but yeah, he's a fixer. And he was with the woman, and
I guess also he was known for dealing with celebrity sex tapes as well.
Yes, that's true. He also brokered some other sex tapes and stuff like that. So, but essentially the reason that Hogan didn't want the entire tape coming out is because of the stuff that was leaked later on, which was the transcript from that video where he used all the racial slurs. So Hogan didn't want it coming out because he knew that would damage him big time. And it did.
The name of the attorney, I found it. It's Keith Davidson.
There it is. Okay.
Yes. So I'm going to pause for 1 second and just rewind a little bit. There were multiple charges that they went after Gawker for: invasion of privacy,
I'm sorry, is that a charge
It's
or
not
is that, what do you call that? Complaint?
I guess.
Because it's a civil
it's
case.
It's civil. It's not really
Okay.
a charge, but
All right.
invasion of privacy, infringement of personality rights, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. I think it was the last one that they dropped, and that caused the insurance not to cover if they were found guilty for Gawker.
Okay.
Sorry, just wanted to, before we get too far, throw that in there.
Yeah.
Going back to Keith Davidson. So he's this kind of fixer person involved in Hollywood sex tapes. So during the trial, Keith Davidson, this attorney, and another woman who was representing the party who had the tapes came into the hotel room and basically tried to extort Hulk Hogan for $300,000. So they go through and they agree to the deal, and then FBI come busting in.
Yes.
This is where they found out who was actually involved in selling the sex tapes or obtaining and releasing the sex tape.
Yes.
So now keep this in the back of your mind. That attorney, Keith Davidson, he's going to come into play a little bit further into the story, and it involves Trump.
The president.
The president. The current sitting U.S. president.
Yes.
So Hulk Hogan does find out his friend did not release those tapes.
Yeah, well, we left out that Hogan sued Bubba as well.
He did.
He did sue him at first when he thought he was responsible for it. And once he realized that he was not the person that leaked it, when he figured it out, he settled with Bubba, I think Bubba for like $5,000.
Something very small.
Something tiny, just kind of like, give me this and that's it. We'll be done.
Yeah.
But that was it too. He didn't take him to the cleaners financially, but he did cut ties with him. He like cut him out of his life.
He did.
So I mean, say what you want to say. The fact that he recorded it and kept a tape of it, that's come on.
And it makes you wonder.
Like, what was the purpose? And I told you what it was. He said on tape with his wife, this is insurance policy for us. Meaning what? Like,
exactly.
That's your best friend. Like,
for what?
For what? Like,
you want to extort him? I mean,
that's the only thing I could think of. Like, if we're ever hard up financially, we'll just tell him we're going to release his tape and he'll give us money.
That was the hard thing with this documentary. Yeah. Like, we're going through and we're realizing he was just an idiot who put it on a disc and then left it at work. Yeah. But then I questioned, how would the people he works with know that he had sex tapes in his file cabinet at work?
Because he probably talked about it.
Probably.
He's a shock jock. You saw they were giving different examples of the things he did just for ratings and whatever else. And then just hearing him talk, that's who he is. He's a guy, he's a braggadocious, bombastic, loud. He's a shock jock. Yeah. Like, that's who this guy is. So he probably just bragged about it and talked about it.
And I also want to add that they had Hulk Hogan, like, as his friend. He would have Hulk Hogan on his show constantly.
All the time.
And what's interesting is this documentary pointed out what a good guy Bubba Clum is. And Bubba the Love Sponge, his last name is Clum. So what a good guy Bubba Clum is. He's just a really good friend. And people would say how Hulk Hogan would just constantly be calling in.
Oh, yeah.
He wanted to make himself a part of the show. And I want to kind of go back to our previous episode when we were talking about Hulk Hogan.
Yes.
When he couldn't see the writing on the wall. He couldn't tell when his character wasn't really wanted in that spot at that time. He interjects himself thinking, this is what the people want. It
seemed like Hogan would get a little bit of a positive reaction, and then he wanted more of it, and he pushed and pushed till it was like, dude, go away. And that's kind of how it was portrayed in the Bubba documentary here, because everybody except Bubba, but everybody else that was a part of the show was like, yeah, I was to the point like, okay, enough, like too much.
Yeah.
And they were telling Bubba, you can't have him on so much. Got to cut it out. And they would play little excerpts of times when Hogan would call in, and it was just like he's just droning on and on about, and you're just like, this is on the radio.
Yeah.
Like, It's not good radio. Let's put it that way.
And they tried to tell him, but, that was his best friend.
His best friend.
Whatever Hulk wanted,
That's it. Yeah.
Bubba let him have it.
Including his wife.
Oh.
Too soon? Cheap shot?
Yeah.
Anyway.
So the documentary paints Bubba Clem as this really good friend. Now, I look at it and you still have all these questions because you're like, okay, so he didn't release the tapes. And some people speculated, well, maybe you gave it to those people to have them release it. They were kind of your patsies, so to speak, in case anything went sideways.
That turned out to not be the case at all.
But he brought up a good point. How did it help me? It actually destroyed me.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. People were saying he did it for money or for whatever reason, and Bubba himself said, "This destroyed me. There was no way I could benefit from this at all. From this stuff getting out and then being pinned on me, it didn't benefit me at all." And he's right; it did destroy him. He got fired from the radio station. Mm-hmm. He wasn't on Sirius XM anymore. Like, it did basically destroy him.
So that extortion at the hotel the FBI came to, it turns out the attorney there, Keith Davidson, was working with Cowhead and Spice Boy.
Yeah.
And they were the ones who worked in the same studio as Bubba, broke into the filing cabinet, stole the tapes, and released them.
Yeah, that's what happened.
And they gave a taste to Gawker, who wanted to put it up, as we have more, give us money.
Right.
So there were more tapes.
Yes, there was a total of 3 that were made.
Mm-hmm.
3 separate times that Hogan and Heather had some fun on tape.
I can't remember if it was this documentary or the next one we're going to talk about where everything ties in together, but somebody mentioned tapes, like there were multiple. So we originally thought during the court trial, they're talking about the video, and we thought it was all one long video. It turns out there were multiple, and they would call it the tapes. And we're like, why are they saying multiple? We thought it was just one. But it's because, no, there were more. Yeah. So again, going back to Bubba the Good Friend, you can't help but think this happened multiple times. You let your wife bang your friend. Or maybe you just said, okay, that one time. But no, because he had it on tape, so he knew.
Yeah, he had it on tape.
And exactly. You recorded it. You burned it onto some discs. And probably bragged about it at work.
That was never said, but we're just speculating.
How else would they know?
We're speculating.
How would they know? Unless they broke into his file cabinet just to get dirt on him and said, oh, here are these discs that say Hulk Hogan sex tape or Hulk Hogan banging my wife.
Or whatever it says. Yeah.
Whatever it is. And they're
even if it's blank, they probably like, what's this? And just,
So, there's just a lot of things that are pretty suspect.
Oh yeah, the whole thing is suspect,
right?
But it is essentially the reason Hogan didn't want the whole thing out is because of the racist comments. Mm-hmm. That's obvious. Had nothing to do with him banging some girl on tape, whatever. I don't think in all this stuff he was saying about emotional distress, all that's. It's like, come on, dude. He would go on. All right, this is where you and I are going to have a debate now.
Okay, let's debate.
We're going to debate because the whole thing was he would go on the radio on the Bubba the Love Sponge show and talk about all the chicks he'd bang, mm-hmm. how big his dick was,
10 inches,
all this stuff. He just all braggadocious, whatever. But that's the Hulk Hogan character, brother, is what he would testify in court.
His penis is not 10 inches.
Yeah. He never said how.
I was waiting for him to say it's 12.
I know. I was waiting for him to say something, but he's just like, no, brother. I don't know how else to explain it to you. But Terry Bollea is not Hulk Hogan.
His argument,
it was so convoluted and so ridiculous.
His argument is every time he was in public, he was portraying the Hulk Hogan character.
Right.
The sex tape, and I mentioned it before in our previous episode, the only time you can be yourself, you don't have to be that character, is in your home.
Correct.
Is in the privacy of a home. Well, he was living with Bubba, so that was his home. And you could argue there is an expected, reasonable expectation of privacy. And that's ultimately what Gawker was arguing with.
Arguing with,
Thank you. They were saying that the public has a right to know. And it's freedom of speech. The problem is, when you look at something like that, there is the expectation of the person involved, their privacy, versus what the public has a right to know, and which one outweighs the other. So we were saying, yeah, if he was caught on video in public having sex, okay, he was in public. If he was doing something illegal, he was, it was involved somebody a juvenile, someone under the age of 18. If he, got a prostitute, if he was doing something illegal, yes, you could say the public, he did something illegal. Yeah, we have an expectation to, know about it. But here's the thing. It was a guy having consensual sex in the privacy of his own home. That is nobody's business.
Until it gets leaked out.
And the argument is with Gawker saying, well, no, it is everyone's business because he's a celebrity. And that was how Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea's team said, no, because if it was Hulk Hogan, the character, sure. But this was the man, Terry Bollea, having an intimate, private moment with no expectation of it being filmed and no expectation of anyone finding out about it.
That was his expectation. Correct. I now, just on that basis alone, I agree. Like, now I don't know the legality of it, but I agree that if I was on that jury, I would have found for Hulk Hogan as well. Let's put it that way. The thing where all this becomes very suspect is that Hogan was saying that the sex tape itself hurt him, which I argue it did not. It didn't. The whole reason he was suing is because he didn't want the rest of it to come out, which never was talked about in court, because he knew that would be damaging, which it ended up being very damaging. Yes.
But I get what you're saying. Here was my thought on that.
Okay.
As Hulk Hogan, then, he's talking about his 10-inch penis and all the women he's had sex with.
Yeah.
So how would that hurt you?
Yeah, how would that hurt you? Okay, here you are now on film with an attractive woman. How's that hurt you? That's what I mean. If he was in there with like some 600-pound woman or something, okay, maybe that might hurt your image a little.
You can't say that it ruined your wholesome image.
Right. That's the part, and that's the part that Gawker argued as well.
And I get that, and I agree to that. However, my point is that I would be arguing the right to privacy.
The reasonable expectation of privacy in one's home.
Exactly.
Which that I will agree with. That's something, and I mean, Hogan said it himself. He gave up the right to privacy the moment he gives it up. The moment he walks out his door, he's Hulk Hogan. Yeah. And he knows that, and he's aware of it. And he was aware of it when he knew that was the deal when he started doing it.
And I think
but in the privacy of his own home, he can be
Terry Bollea
himself and whatever.
And I
get that.
On his side, that when he was having sex with his best friend's wife, that was Terry. That was a guy going through something, having a hard time. Well, not literally.
Well, literally.
Literally. I guess literally. But he was going through something, because the other tapes do bring up, he was venting about his daughter, and the people she's associating with. So that was a very raw, personal, private moment for him. And yes, he felt exposed because he was not the character Hulk Hogan. And that, again, arguing the reasonable expectation of privacy. He's saying those tapes were stolen. Even if he knew he was being recorded, those were private. Those were not for public consumption. They were not to be released. And nobody had his consent to release it. So they are stolen. And based on that alone, yes, they should not have been posted anywhere. And the moment Gawker was told these are stolen, they should have taken it down and issued an apology.
Should have, but that's
didn't.
where the freedom of the press and free speech, the First Amendment, comes into play. And if you're going to go approach it from that avenue, I would agree that the freedom of speech and freedom of the press should never be impugned. It should not. They should be allowed to do whatever they want. Now, this is why this was not litigated in a criminal court and in a civil court, because this is now Hulk Hogan as a civilian suing another
Terry Bollea.
Terry Bollea suing other in a civil case with a jury of his peers to decide, because there's no law against it. The First Amendment is absolute, and it fucking should be. I don't care if it's speech you like, agree with, or don't like. All speech should be protected, because once you start censoring speech, that's big problems.
100%.
So
now,
I agree that Gawker should have been protected here. However, and that's why, again, this was not a criminal case. This is civil. So we're going now on decency and what they should have done if they're moral, good, upstanding people that actually give a shit, which we know they're not.
So Gawker found guilty. They had to pay. Now, the other part, the aspect of extortion, who stole the tapes and then tried to extort Terry Bollea for money with these tapes? Well, what happened to those people?
Yeah, what happened to Cowhead and Spice Boy?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Cowhead got the morning slot on the radio station, and I think, I don't know what Spice Boy does now.
But why?
It's a great question.
Because this is where Trump is going to tie in now.
Here we go. Now this is the conspiracy part of the podcast.
This is the conspiracy part. So that attorney, Keith Davidson, he apparently knew something. Remember the whole Stormy Daniels thing with Trump? And what was it his attorney?
Trump's attorney, Michael Cohen was his name.
Yes.
Had some kind of shady real estate stuff that he had been doing, and this guy Keith Davidson knew about it and had knowledge of it. And so when the FBI did the sting operation, when Davidson was representing Spice Boy trying to sell the tape to Hogan, they never charged him. But basically, as it was explained in the documentary, and as if anybody that follows this stuff ever knows, they won't charge you, but they'll keep that in their back pocket for down the line. If they ever need something from you, they got this on you. It's kind of like blackmail, essentially.
Yeah.
But it's legal blackmail.
You're going to play ball with us because we got shit on you.
Because we got shit on you. Mm-hmm. If you don't cooperate, well, we're going to file charges for this.
And so it seems like that was what happened.
Yes. So
with Michael Cohen, the Stormy Daniels, all that, because they wanted dirt
on Trump. So they went to this Keith Davidson guy and said, we'll drop these charges. We won't pursue anything with this Hulk Hogan extortion attempt if you will get us dirt on Trump or Michael Cohen or whatever. And this guy knew Michael Cohen, Trump's attorney, and basically got him indicted, and they got him to flip on Trump.
Yeah. So you have all of that. And again, now Donald Trump, who is a friend of Hulk Hogan, such a good friend, he even most recently did an interview for a documentary about him.
And Hogan, was going on the campaign trail for him.
Yeah,
too.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I do want to add the reason why Cowhead and Spice Boy were not prosecuted. In the documentary with Bubba, they're talking about early on, Bubba would speak out about injustices. And if somebody, if a politician was taking advantage of the people, they were doing something wrong, treating people poorly, he would call them out on it, be it a politician, a corporation, whoever it was. And that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
Yeah, Bubba was not shy about calling politicians out if he viewed whatever they did as any kind of wrongdoing or favoritism or anything like that.
Now, was it a district attorney?
He was the Florida, I think it was the Florida district attorney. I believe that's who he was.
Bubba had criticized him in the past.
Multiple times. Multiple times.
And they had a bit of a rivalry going on where Bubba would call him out and he'd deny everything. And, I'm just doing my job. And he's like, you're being unfair. You shouldn't
be
in the position.
He's calling, yeah, right. He's just calling him out, basically for wrongdoing.
Well, now, fast forward to all this coming out, and the DA is still the same guy. And he obviously doesn't really want to touch it. Then you have on the federal side, because the FBI was involved, there was somebody who, what was he? Was he a federal? Do you remember his title?
No, I don't recall his title. But he was an
some
attorney
kind of like
kind.
attorney or judge or something. And then he took over. He left because you retire from that and then you go work civilly.
In the private sector.
Yeah.
And his replacement, okay, we're confusing everybody because I'm confusing myself now how we're explaining this. So you have this Florida attorney, state attorney general or whatever he is. No, he was the prosecutor. He was like the prosecutor or something. Anyway, this is the one that Bubba was talking shit about all the time. They had that butting heads rivalry. I don't remember his name, forgive me, but we'll call him asshole attorney 1 or asshole whatever. So Bubba and him are button heads, and when it comes time to look at pursuing charges, this is still the guy who's in charge. So Bubba, he's not going to pursue charges because he says there's no way. This is not worth it. We don't have enough evidence to convict these guys. We're not even going to bother. So we're just going to drop it. We're not even going to pursue this anymore. Now, the detective that was on the case about the theft of the tapes told Bubba, I've got plenty of evidence. We can absolutely pursue and we'll get a conviction. But the attorney general did not want to go forward with it. The Florida state attorney.
And the attorney for, I guess it was Cowhead and Spice Boy.
The attorney for Cowhead and Spice Boy used to work in that office, or he was a federal attorney, excuse me.
He was a federal attorney.
Yes, he was a federal attorney. He left, went to the private sector, and his replacement was a buddy of his, and he just talked to him and said, hey, listen, I just came from your position. I'm telling you, out of all my 15 years in the spot, I know cases that are worth pursuing and cases that are not. This one's not worth pursuing. There's not enough there. You're just going to be wasting the resources and you should be going after something else. There's nothing here. So it was basically, a good old boys network as they described it in the documentary.
So
the good old boys covering each other's ass.
On the federal level and the state level, the prosecutors who would not go put this up for trial.
Right. Even though there would be an easy conviction, they did not.
They literally
because it was Bubba and they all hated Bubba.
Hogan and his attorney had everything on a silver platter. Here you go. Easy peasy. But they didn't pursue it because of, I think, those two factors of they
hated Bubba. That was it.
Yeah.
That's the factor.
But
they
also
hated Bubba, but
knowing
also
they could turn Davidson.
But knowing that they had something in their back pocket if they ever needed something from Davidson because of all the connections Davidson had, they kept him on the hook, so to speak.
And
they didn't know that it was going to be for Trump. They just knew that they had him for whenever they need him. They got something.
Which is so messed up when you think you're wronged. And it's like Hulk Hogan didn't do anything, but he was the one who got screwed in it. Because the people trying to extort him got nothing.
Yeah, but the people that were trying to extort him were really trying to harm Bubba. That's the best part. It was all of this was because a couple of radio DJs wanted the morning spot in Tampa radio. That's why this whole thing started. Hogan just happened to be an innocent, no, not really innocent, but he happened to be a non-participant, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like he had nothing to do with this radio war, but he was caught in the crossfire of it.
And so let's move into the third documentary.
So this is called Nobody Speak, Trials of the Free Press. This is also on Netflix.
So going into this, I thought it was just about the Gawker Hogan trial.
Well, it does say Nobody Speak, Trials of the Free Press.
I know. But
so it was more than one story.
But that's what I thought going in.
Okay.
But it wasn't. They actually brought up another thing that happened in Vegas regarding a paper. And
the Las Vegas Review.
Yes. So I'm watching this in the beginning, and they're talking about billionaires silencing the journalists and buying out all the press so they can control the news. And I'm like, that didn't happen in this case.
Oh, but it did.
But no.
Oh, it did.
Because
this is where we're going to have a debate. Here, go ahead.
It's semantics, I know. But Peter Thiel, a billionaire. He's known for co-founding PayPal and
PayPal, early investor in Facebook,
yes,
eBay, all yes.
So he's loaded.
Now going around the country lecturing about the Antichrist. He also started Palantir, that is the company that is going to enslave all of us digitally if we don't wake the hell up. But yes, that guy.
That guy. It comes out he funded the case of Hogan. He funded Hogan's attorneys and everything.
Yeah, the Gawker guys were talking about how they knew early on that something was up and somebody had to be funding this because Hogan's attorneys were taking their sweet time in court, dragging things out, and it was like just billing the billable hours just kept racking up, and they had I forget, one of the guys, one of the Gawker, was it the founder of it? There's two principal people, Nick Denton and AJ Delario.
Yes.
Nick Denton said he got a feeling that somebody else was funding the lawsuit. And it came out, sure enough, that it was Peter Thiel. And the reason why Peter Thiel was funding the lawsuit is because years earlier, Gawker had outed him on their website as a gay man.
And I want to get into that a little bit because we had a conversation about it. I guess the question was, like, did everyone know he was gay? Because
that was my question, because I didn't know.
So we had to look it up because we didn't know a lot about it. So to those closest to Peter Thiel, apparently they knew he was gay, but it wasn't common public knowledge. And so, yeah, the guy has a right to be pissed at them. Like, it's not their place to do that. Well, he took his ire to the next level.
Yeah, he waited and he got even.
Oh, for sure. But what he did was he funded the attorneys.
He funded the attorneys. That's
it. That's all he did. He didn't buy out media to control anything. Like, there was no insinuation he was paying off the judge. No speculation of that.
Nothing like that. But what happened was, by him, you don't think it was his influence and his money that made them drop one of those charges so that the insurance of Gawker wouldn't? So he definitely influenced this. Come on.
Okay.
Not just with his dollars, but you don't think he was
here? I get what you're saying.
Come on.
But my point is, the way they were portraying it in the documentary, at first what I thought was trying to say he's controlling the narrative, but he's not. Gawker did something sleazy.
But
that's it.
Yes.
And the argument is, did they cause damages to Hulk Hogan? Now, a really good attorney will know every way to screw somebody in court. You'll know how to really dig that knife in and how to get the most out of them for everything you can get.
The thing
he funded those good attorneys.
Yes, he funded those good attorneys, and the other thing we left out, though, the whole dropping of the charge so the insurance company would not be liable or would be dropped from the suit, essentially. It was a puzzling decision because you'd get more money if the insurance company was involved because the insurance company can afford to pay more. So the judgment would likely be for more if the jury found it in Hogan's favor. So the whole dropping of that charge was baffling to everybody because it's like, wait, why would you do that? Because you're going to get less money now.
But if you're going after somebody, it's either for money or for principle.
But if you're trying to fucking shut the thing down, that's exactly what you do.
Exactly. And you could see Hogan being like, yeah, screw those guys. Let's not have it happen to somebody else. They shouldn't have the chance to do that to somebody else. So I'm sure that was one of the goals they wanted, but I'm sure it was also Hogan wanted that. Get money and screw these guys. That is a win-win. Again, the best attorneys are sharks, and they know how to get the most blood out of the people they're going after. So, again, I feel Peter Thiel funded it, and somebody wants to pay for someone's court to give him the best attorneys. Let's say Hulk Hogan was, he was broke, and even if he had the best case, that doesn't always guarantee, because the other side could say, oh, we have more money than him, we'll drag it out in court. And these are the tactics that they'll do to try to get somebody to drop a case. All it did was allow Hulk Hogan to get his case a full trial. And yeah, screw with Gawker. But I cannot say Peter Thiel's money bought anything out of it in terms of he didn't pay off judges. He didn't buy media to sway anything. And again, a jury is not supposed to look at anything coming out anyway.
Yeah, they're not supposed to, but who knows now? Now with everybody has a phone and whatever else, who knows? But my whole argument, though, is, again, Gawker sleazebags, scumbags. They had every opportunity to pull the tape out before it went to a trial, before they got sued. Hogan's attorneys tried. They didn't do it. They are moral, in my view, in my opinion, morally bankrupt. Mm-hmm. They're not good people. They don't care. They care about clicks, and that's all they care about.
And I just want to,
go ahead.
Sorry. They, in the documentary, because this was more cited for Gawker, pointing out what good journalists they are, because they just want the truth. People need to know. So just having that was the skewed side, because documentaries, they always choose a side that they're going after. We mentioned it before.
That's always the case.
It was more of a pro-Gawker. We're looking for freedom. We're looking for justice. We want the truth. So.
And again, I go back to the First Amendment. You ain't got to like the speech. You don't have to like the people that are saying the speech that you don't like. You can hate them, but they should still have the right to say it. Now, if it causes harm, well, that's what the civil court and the civil trials are for, and you can go after them. And that's what Hulk Hogan did, yes. Should they have been bankrupted, though? I don't think they should have, because, again, that's an attack on free speech. And I don't give a shit. You're never going to change my mind about that, because you have to be absolute with these things and with these freedoms if you want to have them. Once you start putting conditions on it, it's done. It's over.
I agree with you. But also with that, you have the right to say anything you want. But that doesn't protect you from the consequences.
It doesn't
of what
protect you from the consequences.
Gawker
that's true.
Played a big game of fuck around and find out, and they found out
the hard
way.
They did find out, and it was because of deep pockets. And
that's the game that they play. But if you look at a lot of what they did, yeah, I think they had real journalistic stories, but there was so much of like, oh, this famous celebrity, they're fat. It's kind of like just stuff like clickbait stuff. Is that really news? Is that really something that's sharing the truth about what's really going on?
I mean, if you want to get really in the weeds, you could argue that since 2012, there hasn't been any real news anyway because of the repeal of the Smith-Mundt Act.
100%.
It's been all propaganda anyway.
And again, this documentary brings forward information about the same billionaires buying up all the media groups to control narratives. And we've been seeing that for a really long time.
We've been seeing that forever. Yeah. And the end of this Nobody Speaks documentary spoke about the Las Vegas Review-Journal that was bought by Sheldon Adelson, the late billionaire, and how that he bought them because all they ever did was shit talk him. They'd always point out his shortcomings or
sketchy things
that he would do, and he got tired of it, so he just bought the paper. And then they would not tell the journalists who bought them, so they went and figured it out themselves. And it was never the name wasn't Sheldon Adelson; it was his son-in-law that bought it. Or you know what I mean? So it was like all kinds of just shady stuff. Mm-hmm. But that he bought the paper. He didn't like what they were saying. He didn't like their right to say it, so he just bought it and fired everybody, or they left of their own volition. But that's what the documentary was saying. How you have these billionaires that are trying to kill speech. And hey, it's coming true right now. They're already you don't think they're going to try to mess with the First Amendment?
Oh.
They are doing it right now.
Well, I just want to make 2 points, and we can talk about something because I don't want to forget.
Okay.
This involved Trump. This documentary, third one.
Yes, the third
about
one.
Hulk Hogan involving Trump too. Yes. And they were talking about Trump using his authority to try to silence journalists.
Yep.
And then the other thing, we can get back to it later, but I just want to rewind back to Hulk Hogan, and that it was during that trial, the tapes came out. So this documentary shined a light on the multiple tapes regarding Hulk Hogan. So Gawker tried to argue that it had nothing to do with the damages caused by Gawker with that 1.5-minute video they put up. But in the middle of the trial, once they found out there were more tapes and an extortion plan, he was trying to prevent any other tapes from being released because it was the one where it really reflected a bad light with his language. He wanted to protect himself from that. And what was interesting with that is, according to this documentary, that all happened during the trial. And I guess the judge and the attorneys on both sides viewed the tapes, and the judge ordered neither side were to talk about the tapes.
Right.
They're only supposed to talk about that 1.5-minute clip that Gawker released. And the attorneys for Gawker kept bringing up the tapes, and the judge had to remind them you're not allowed to talk about that, and would have to tell the jury to disregard it. But those transcripts got leaked.
They got
so
leaked,
that was Gawker leaking those transcripts, or somebody.
No, you don't know that was not Gawker that leaked it, because they didn't have all of those tapes. They didn't have those tapes.
No, the transcripts.
They didn't have the transcripts either.
They couldn't have gotten it?
From who? The
court.
FBI?
No. Where they saw it and they kept bringing up in court.
They didn't leak that out, though. Nobody knows who leaked that.
I think they did. That's just my speculation.
I don't think Gawker leaked it, but who knows?
But that's where it kind of came out too in court. So it was just interesting because we had a conversation. Because
people that have no knowledge of this case are so confused right now. They're like, "What are they talking about?" They keep jumping around.
Because I just don't want to forget to talk about this because it's about the case.
Yes.
But we were watching it and they kept saying tapes. And we're like, what do you mean tapes? We thought it was the one video. And
that's what the trial was about.
That's what the trial was about. We didn't know it was like multiple tapes, as we mentioned earlier. So according to this documentary and the timeline, the tapes, all that extortion stuff happened during the trial.
Right.
And that's where more information came to light, which was like Hulk Hogan settled with Bubba for that low amount.
Right.
So, as I said, the judge allowed all the tapes. Somehow it came in because to see, I guess, if it had anything to do with this case, they had the whole video, not just the 1.5 minutes. So I guess the judge and the two attorneys reviewed all the videos with Hulk Hogan, but ordered the attorneys, you cannot discuss this in court. This is private. I forget the terminology the judge used, but
it's kind of inadmissible because it really had nothing to do with the 90 seconds that were on the website that were published that Hogan was claiming damages for.
And Gawker wanted the ability
to use it.
Yes, but they couldn't. And rightfully so, because it had nothing to do with the 1.5 that they refused to take down. So that was just something else I didn't want to forget to mention.
Okay.
There was also something else brought up in the Gawker documentary or the Nobody Speak documentary about the judge. And they kept tilting towards her having bias against them.
They were insinuating that there was bias by this judge, but they never showed any video or audio evidence of it. What they would have instead was they would show film from the court of the judge speaking. It was a blonde female judge. She's speaking, but you don't hear what she's saying. It's overdubbed with somebody in the documentary that's talking and giving a narrative of, the judge was very one-sided, or the judge said this, or the judge said that.
Yeah, they said something like, she was telling the jury that, media has gotten way out of control, and
it was saying it was basically they were sensationalizing a lot of what was said, but never actually showing the judge saying it, even though they had video and audio of the judge. So why would you not use that? So
as proof.
Yeah. So it was just sensationalizing and editorializing to bring forth a certain narrative.
And again, they also said
misleading.
They said that the jury, when they found Gawker guilty, and it wasn't just Gawker, it was the owner of Gawker.
It was not just Gawker in the suit. It was Gawker, Nick Denton and AJ Delario. AJ Delario was just the writer who
the person who
put
up
the story. Yeah.
They according to, was it
which
Nick
again,
Denton?
by the way, is very unprecedented. You don't typically go after the journalist because the journalist doesn't have any fucking money. It's the company.
Mm-hmm.
You go after the journalist if you're trying to ruin them, which is what was done here. Again, why I say very dangerous.
But
that
that journalist was not the one who posted the story about Peter Thiel. If
it wasn't.
If it was the same one, I could be like, ooh, yeah.
It was not. But Peter Thiel has gone after journalists and began to do so after he got the victory in this trial.
But I will
after
say,
Hogan got the victory.
You can be spiteful if you feel somebody hurt you, they screwed you.
You can.
Yeah, you can be spiteful and say, 100%. I'll go after everyone for sure. You can.
Yeah, if you got deep enough pockets, you can. Doesn't make it right.
Now,
it doesn't make it right.
I don't know if it was AJ or Nick Denton saying that the jury, when they found Gawker guilty, they said they wanted to go to a higher amount, but the judge told them not to because then they could file for bankruptcy. And if you file for bankruptcy, you're probably not going to get all that money. The person would probably not get all that money. I mean, so
the winner of the case.
But again, they never showed proof of her saying that.
They did not. No.
So again, it's really hard because if they actually showed the video of her saying that or instructing them or showed some kind of proof, you could be like, oh, okay, wait a minute. It sounds like she's out to get them. But they never show proof of that. So I just wanted to put that out there too.
Yeah, a lot of accusations hurled at the judge and insinuations of things that she allegedly said. And I say allegedly because they didn't provide any proof. It's just one of the attorneys saying it or one of the defendants saying it. Like, they're not actually showing the judge say it. What they're showing is video of the judge speaking, but a defendant or whoever is overlaid with their audio talking over her. Mm-hmm. It's like, just say what she said. You have the video right there.
Just show it, yes.
Show it. It's a 5-second clip. Show it.
So,
but they didn't. It was very misleading in that way, and it was very much to drive forth their narrative and their point, which is what all documentaries do.
Exactly, and we've mentioned that before in previous shows. So I think that this documentary brought up a lot of really good points, but that's one thing Alex and I were kind of disagreeing. He's like, yeah, Peter Thiel shouldn't have, like, tell me if I'm misconstruing what you meant. But I felt like you were saying Peter Thiel, by his interference, kind of took away the rights of Gawker. My argument is I don't think so, because he had the money, and sorry, but that's real life.
Not take away the rights.
Well, not
Gawker.
the rights, but
it's a very gray area, and it's essentially I mean, I guess you could say he is taking away their rights because he's rich enough to. Mm-hmm. And when we're getting into territory like that, it's dangerous. And because of that precedent that was set and allowed to take place, which there's no law saying somebody can't fund a lawsuit if they feel like, I believe in this cause, I'm being philanthropic, whatever. Okay. But when you're on the basis of, I hate these people because they outed me as gay. Okay. That's fair. Why didn't you sue them at the time?
And that's something I didn't
Which
get.
is what I was
why
wondering. It's like, why didn't he just sue them at the time? I don't know why he didn't. He was a billionaire at the time. It's not like he wasn't already rich and wealthy. He waited. He bided his time and he waited. And then just the whole, so he gets rid of Gawker. And again, whether you like Gawker or not, I never went to the site. I didn't even know what Gawker was
until
this case came out. I had no idea. But apparently it was a huge site. I don't think they should have been bankrupted. Now, again, like you said, they played a game of fuck around and find out. And they found out. Mm-hmm. But it's so dangerous that it was allowed to happen. It just all of it was obviously the lawsuit was designed when Peter Thiel stepped into the picture. Everything went to a strategy of, we have to shut this thing down because fuck these guys. And that's where I say it gets very dicey, because nowadays you have all kinds of stuff going on. And are we going to, because we don't like what somebody's saying, if I'm a billionaire, I go, fuck this guy. This podcaster said something about me. I'm going to sue him into the dirt. And so you're going after free speech. And that's where I have a problem with all of it. You're going after free speech. Again, I don't like the Gawker guys. I think they're scumbags. Obviously, they're scumbags. They're not morally, they're morally bankrupt, but they should not have been taken out. That's it. That's the end of it's very black and white for me. Freedom of speech is absolute. Freedom of the press, absolute. It has to be. Otherwise, why have it?
But here's the other issue. Now, Gawker, as far as I know, was an independent journalist group.
It was, yeah, I believe so.
And those are important because when you look at most media, it's owned by these billionaires. What is it? Is it four or six
companies?
Six.
They're pretty soon probably going to drop down to 5.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, 6 big media companies own it all, ladies and gentlemen. They own everything. Unless it's a podcaster, an independent podcast or something like that. And even a lot of those are getting funding behind the scenes from who knows who.
Some of the really big ones. And you have independent journalists still. A lot of them are more so online. They're not in print anymore.
Right.
It's really hard to know when you look for news what's real and what's not. We're in a day and age where a lot of it's speculation. The media was granted carte blanche to speculate all they want. And when you are basically living in a world where your news is mostly speculation until the real truth comes out somehow, or somebody argues against you saying, no, that's not it, whatever it might be, how do you really know what's what?
Yeah.
People are getting their news from social media.
That's kind of what's happening now. I mean, look what happened just 6 years ago now with COVID. How many people were censored then?
Mm-hmm.
And who was causing all that? And people were speaking out about it. They weren't being heard, though, because they were being censored.
They were. And, I mean, even
see what I mean about freedom of speech?
And
you can't fuck with it.
And I 100% agree with you. However, I just look at it the way Peter Thiel went through it, through these backdoor ways. Well, he was really smart about it. That's all I'm saying. And, well, he funded it. Yeah, he shut down a site, independent journalists. But I guess if that's the way you're going to do it, that's the way to do it. Because all he did was provide money. That's it.
Yeah, money and influence too.
Maybe a little influence.
Of course he did. Please.
But and to me, that is totally different than a billionaire just buying a media corporation. Then, like, if he just said, I'm going to buy Fox News or I'm going to buy CNN or whatever it is, just outright buying it. I'm going to buy this local newspaper.
Well, that's what Sheldon Adelson did with the Las Vegas paper. And he and his wife donated $125 million to Trump to get reelected in 2024. And Sheldon Adelson passed away, but his wife is now the one pretty much calling the shots. And I don't want to get into politics, and I'm not going to say anything on here that will maybe be used against me in the future, so I'm not gonna, but look into the story if you're curious, and you'll see a lot of the things that go on in the world today that our president has influence over. If you read between the lines and you follow the money, as they say, you can figure out why it's happening.
So, going over these 3 documentaries, I'm watching it. And
allegedly. Sorry.
Yes. These 3 documentaries, going over it, I'm watching it and thinking, wow, they all have to do with Hulk Hogan and Donald Trump.
It's crazy, right?
It boils down to that.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. But yes, absolutely.
Find the common denominators.
Absolutely. So very, very interesting. If you've got like a weekend to kill, I would recommend watching all 3, honestly.
Yeah.
All 3, honestly. I know the Hulk Hogan, Real American, and Nobody Speak, Trials of the Free Press are both on Netflix, and Video Killed the Radio Star. I think I saw it on Apple TV and also on Amazon Prime, but you do have to rent it because it's really brand new and it was not made for the platform. It's an independently released documentary. But if you're interested in the story, even if you don't like Bubba the Love Sponge, who I was never a fan of at all, but it was a very, very interesting watch. That one, I will say, will give people a heads up. It's a little long. It's about 2.5 hours long. Yeah. And it gets kind of repetitive towards the end. Well, you have a lot of different people saying the same things.
Yeah. There were parts where it's like, critique, okay,
but
it's everyone saying the same thing, but just them saying it in their own way.
Yeah. But it's definitely very interesting. And like I said, I was never a fan of Bubba the Love Sponge, but then I watched the documentary and then and listened to that podcast interview, and I was like, he does seem like, aside from the dumb shit he does, seems like not a bad guy. He doesn't seem like a bad person.
I mean, he's got to be a nice guy because he let his wife have sex with his best friend. Hey, buddy, I know how to cheer you up. You've been kind of glum lately. You can bang my wife. That's how good of a friend I am.
What a guy.
He's a nice guy. And if you don't get my nice guy reference, go back to episode Nice Guys Finish Last for a reason.
Yes. And it makes me wonder, do you think that Bubba would have done that for Joe Schmo down the street if it was Joe Schmo going through the same situation? Or did he do it because it was Hulk Hogan?
Well, it kind of makes me wonder. What kind? Again, maybe they had a certain lifestyle.
I'm not going to
upside down pineapples. Maybe
I don't like to get into accusations.
I'm just curious
on our podcast, but we've talked off air about this before, and
and no judgment. I'm just saying.
I've heard some things. There's stories that are out there, allegedly,
supposedly, in theory. I'm just saying, and maybe that was the kind of arrangement they had, but still, that was their private life. It wasn't publicly known.
Right on.
They do have a right to privacy.
I think everybody has a right to privacy, but if anything, this case showed, this whole ordeal, no matter who you are, no matter what you do, your privacy is just about gone in this country.
Oh, for sure.
It really is.
Well, I thought you were going to say Hulk Hogan got laid a lot.
Well, I don't know about that, but
well, according to his wife,
with her anyway. Yeah. But yeah, it just it really shows that no matter what, you have to. These should be cautionary tales for everybody out there. It's a cautionary tale. No matter how much
Hulk Hogan told the boys.
Yeah, no matter how much money you make, no matter how influential you become, watch how you live your life, because it can always a bad decision can come back to bite you in the ass, even years later. So. Yeah. So on that note, until next, I thought we were going to go 3 parts with this. I thought when we first started talking, but we managed to get it done in 2. Until next time, I am the Golden Greek, Alex Arion. I have been joined, as always, by my beautiful, lovely, gorgeous, amazing wife, Monique.
And you've been listening to the Homewrecker podcast.
We love hearing from and interacting with our hearers and watchers. Feel free to reach out to us on Twitter
@HomewreckerPod.
You can also visit our website,
homewreckerpodcast.com,
where you can check out past episodes and pick up some Homewrecker Podcast gear from our online store.
Also, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe or follow button wherever you're hearing or watching our show. That way you can be notified whenever a new episode drops. We're on all major podcasting platforms, and you can check out the video versions of our show at YouTube and Brighteon.
You can also find Monique in a few places online as well.
I'm on Twitter @_MoniqueGiselle_. If you're interested in a tarot reading, organite, incense, candles, and other cool things, you can go to my website, tarotbymonique.com. Or if you're interested in hypnotherapy, you can go to innerstandingshypnosis.com to schedule a free 20-minute consult. And follow me on Twitter @MoniquePCHT. And Alex, how can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter @TheAlexArion, and you can check out my website, AlexArionFitness.com.
And if that's too much to remember, we get it. That's why we put it all in our show notes.
Thanks for spending your time with us, and we appreciate all of your support.
We do. Thank you. We love you. Many people are unaware just how much hypnotherapy can help them, or think it's only to help lose weight or quit smoking. But there is so much more hypnotherapy can do. It can help with stress, anxiety, insomnia, phobias, performance enhancement, connecting with your spirit guides and higher self. You can even discover past lives and your life between lives. Heal traumas, break habits, find your deepest truth, or just have fun discovering who you really are, all from the comfort of your home. I'm Monique Pliakis. I'm a certified hypnotherapist, and I want to help you. Schedule a free consult by going to www.innerstandingshypnosis.com. That's INNERSTANDINGSHYPNOSIS.com. Inner Standings Hypnosis. Find your power and ignite your inner light.